The following is an updated re-upload with several minutes of additional material and reporting. A video clip has been removed in an effort to comply with YouTube's ad guidelines. This is Tony Hinchcliffe, a comedian and the host of the very popular comedy showcase Kill Tony. Recently, at a Donald Trump rally at Madison Square Garden, Tony Hinchcliffe told a joke, which YouTube isn't going to let me show without demonetizing the video. But that's fine because you've likely already seen the joke in question. And of course, many in the media jumped on this joke in an effort to attack Donald Trump by proxy. However, Tony Hinchcliffe's joke was based in a hard truth, as Puerto Rico has had a long-standing issue with waste disposal. Trash crisis leaves Puerto Rico near the brink. Most of Puerto Rico's landfills fail to meet federal standards and are almost full. Residents and experts worry that trash will soon overwhelm the region. An island littered with trash. How Hurricane Maria highlighted Puerto Rico's poor waste management. Disaster debris is pushing Puerto Rico's landfills to the brink.
Here's where that joke comes from. Tony is actually obsessed with the Pacific garbage patch and like the fact that we just throw, like we were talking about, like recycling. Like recycling doesn't work. They don't do it. So there's a landfill in Puerto Rico that's way overflowed. Puerto Rico has a legitimate trash problem. Their landfills are way over capacity. So that's where the joke came from.
Right.
Like the joke came from like Tony being environmentally conscious.
But instead of putting the joke in its proper context, the media chose to blow things out of proportion with absolute impunity.
There is fresh backlash against Trump's rally in New York City on Sunday. The rally featured a comedian who repeatedly insulted Puerto Rico and today is refusing to apologize. Puerto Rico is an American island. Let me say that again. Puerto Ricans are American citizens, and the island is a U.S. territory. And there are about 1 million Puerto Ricans living in battleground states where both candidates are vying for the Latino vote.
The righteous indignation tells you everything you need to know about media bias against Donald Trump.
And former President Donald Trump, and the fallout tonight, the backlash over racist and sexist comments and jokes about Latinos and Puerto Ricans, delivered at Trump's major rally at Madison Square Garden in New York. Some of the speakers invited by the campaign to speak before the former president, who made immediate headlines, including this comedian, and what was said about Latinos and Puerto Ricans, some of it too profane to play on TV.
Oh, how convenient. We're not going to play the clip because it's too profane for viewers. You're just going to have to blindly trust us on that.
It's discouraging that so many people would gather and rally to hate speech in America. That it's discouraging and it hurts that people who have family in Puerto Rico, who are Puerto Rican Americans, who are American citizens, are hearing hate like that. It's discouraging.
But it wasn't about the people. It was about the island. It's like making a joke about New Jersey. The pearl clutching here is just off the charts. So just 2 days later, Joe Biden was giving remarks via Zoom to Voto Latino, self-described as the nation's premier Latinx voter registration organization. And that call was a disaster, even by normal Joe Biden standards.
And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Well, that escalated quickly, huh? The backlash on social media was immediate, and the clip was viewed tens of millions of times just within a couple hours, which forced Joe Biden's staff to go into damage control mode. White House Senior Deputy Press Secretary Andrew Bates posted on X that Joe Biden referred to the hateful rhetoric at the Madison Square Garden rally as garbage, and posted a transcript claiming that Biden didn't say his supporters, but said his supporters with an apostrophe. But the problem is that video exists, and gaslighting isn't gonna work this time. And it wasn't just an excerpt of the transcript published on X, but it was also the official White House transcript that was altered. It would later be reported by the Associated Press that White House staff altered the transcript despite major pushback from the White House stenography office. The change was made after the press office conferred with the president, according to an internal email from the head of the stenographer's office that was obtained by the Associated Press. The authenticity of the email was confirmed by 2 government officials who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss internal matters. The supervisor in the email called the press office's handling of the matter a breach of protocol and spoliation of transcript integrity between the stenography and press offices. If there is a difference in interpretation, the press office may choose to withhold the transcript, but cannot edit it independently, the supervisor wrote, adding, "Our stenography office transcript, released to our distro, which includes the National Archives, is now different than the version edited and released to the public by press office staff." And by changing the transcript on their own, the White House Communications Office likely violated the Presidential Records Act of 1978. But it's okay, because it was all in the service of interfering with an election and saving democracy from the bad orange man. It was for the greater good, America. So the backlash from this obvious attempt at gaslighting forced the White House staff to send out the following post on Joe Biden's X account. And we know it wasn't Joe Biden himself that posted it, because the timestamp is listed at 9:31 Eastern Time, and we all know that that's way past Joe Biden's bedtime. "Earlier today, I referred to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump's supporter at his Madison Square Garden rally as garbage, which is the only word I can think of to describe it. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable. That's all I meant to say. The comments at that rally don't reflect who we are as a nation." But Tony Hinchcliffe didn't demonize Latinos. He made a joke about Puerto Rico's crumbling waste management. Democrats have no sense of humor or decency. Joe Biden is not the Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris is. So Ben Rhodes, a former speechwriter for Barack Obama, is trying to downplay Biden's remarks. I mean, who cares? Biden's not the one running for president. Of course, by Ben Rhodes' standard, Tony Hinchcliffe is a comedian who isn't running for anything. So the question is, why is a comedian being held to a higher standard than the sitting president of the United States? Why is the media more upset about a joke than they are about the leader of the free world calling half the country garbage? The answer? You know why. It's different when Democrats do it. The media is so biased that they immediately and desperately tried to make excuses for President Biden. The Washington Post wrote, "Did Biden call Trump supporters garbage? It comes down to an apostrophe," and added, "Biden's defense is entirely plausible." But at the same time, I haven't seen a single published article in the Washington Post that gives any context to Tony Hinchcliffe's joke. You know, Puerto Rico's very real trash problem. But just remember, folks, democracy dies in darkness, or something. So while Joe Biden was speaking to Voto Latino, Kamala Harris was holding her closing argument event at the Ellipse in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately for Kamala Harris, Joe Biden's garbage remark overshadowed the biggest and most important speech of Kamala's political career. Womp womp.
Have you spoken to President Biden since his comment last night about garbage?
Listen, I think that, first of all, he clarified his comments, but let me be clear, I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for.
So while the media was demanding that Trump and the Trump campaign disavowed Tony Hinchcliffe's racist joke, the media was oddly quiet when it came to demanding that Kamala Harris do the same with Joe Biden's remarks. I know you're shocked. But Kamala Harris had the perfect opportunity to differentiate herself from Joe Biden and could have said, "I certainly don't agree with the president's words. I will be a president for all Americans." But instead,
Do you sympathise with any voters who do feel offended by or insulted by the garbage comments?
I am running for president of the United States. I will be traveling to 3 states today.
Kamala Harris is a walking, talking non-answer. And speaking of completely unskilled people, here's White House press secretary and self-proclaimed historical figure, Karine Jean-Pierre.
Why is he using that kind of rhetoric? How is that presidential?
Just to clarify, he was not calling Trump supporters garbage, which is why he put out, this is why he wanted to make sure that we put out a statement that clarified what he meant and what he was trying to say.
There has not been a president in all of American history whose staff has been forced to use the excuse, what he meant to say was, more than Joe Biden's has.
So, look, the president wanted to clarify because he understood that what he may have said was he understood that what he was saying was being taken out of context.
Out of context? They really think you're that stupid.
And I would say I think it's really important that you have a president that cares about clarifying what they said. And that's what you see from this president. He took it upon himself to clarify what he said. And I think that says a lot about who Joe Biden is, that he wanted to make sure it was clear.
Actually, wouldn't it be better if we had a president who didn't have to clarify everything he says? Just saying.
And the vice president did say today she strongly disagrees with anybody who offers criticism of people based on who they vote for and why they vote for them. Mm-hmm. Does the president view that differently?
Yes, he feels the same way. He feels the same way as what she stated. But that's something that the president has been saying for some time.
Oh, you mean the same Joe Biden who said that Make America Great Again was, quote, an extreme philosophy that was, quote, semi-fascism?
What do you mean by semi-fascism, sir? In December, you know what I mean.
And remember that this was the man who just 2 years ago gave a primetime address in front of a blood-red background, complete with 2 members of the military behind him, and called half the country extremists who were a clear and present danger to our democracy.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans are a clear and present danger to our democracy. We must be stronger, more determined, and more committed to saving American democracy than MAGA Republicans are to destroying American democracy.
And remember how he once reacted to a protester?
We remain in the battle for the soul of America. By the way, all right, God love you. Let him go. We have to be stronger and more determined and more committed to saving American democracy than the MAGA Republicans and that guy Alcantara are destroying democracy.
So I'm gonna guess that when he called Trump supporters garbage, that he meant every word of it. And Donald Trump took full advantage of the whole garbage fiasco by appearing on the campaign trail wearing an orange safety vest and then climbing into a Trump-branded garbage truck to address reporters.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
He landed in Green Bay just a short time ago and then pulled this campaign stunt, speaking to reporters from a garbage truck, proof that he and his supporters are giving no grace to a gaffe by President Biden, where he, in his explanation, inadvertently called Trump supporters garbage.
The sitting president of the United States of America called half the country garbage, and we're supposed to be forgiving. Yeah, sure, Nora. And saying that Biden said it inadvertently is just insulting. And notice that she called Trump and the garbage truck a campaign stunt, when in reality it was a photo op. Nora O'Donnell is not an objective journalist. She is an activist for the Democrats, and she can go to hell. Anyway, hours after the so-called campaign stunt, Trump appeared at a rally in Green Bay, Wisconsin, still wearing the orange safety vest.
Crooked Joe Biden finally said what he and Kamala really think of our supporters. He called them garbage. No way. No way. My response to Joe and Kamala is very simple. You can't lead America if you don't love Americans. That's true.
Guys, we are so back. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. A special thanks to Poofy for her help with the script, and I hope to see you next time, if there is next time.